go again. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I literally just filmed a video not too long ago, but I'm going somewhere and I figured why not talk more and film a separate video, because someone asked on one of the videos what are the major differences between this bike and my Ninja H2, and I told them there's like way too many differences and that I'm just gonna make a video about it because I think it's a good topic. Like, some of you guys might wonder why I got this bike even though I have the Ninja H2, and the main reason, not like power aside and all that, which I'm gonna get into later on, but the main reason is that the H2 is more of a unique bike that even if you have the money to buy it, it's not a bike that you can just easily go anywhere and just pick up. They're way harder to find, and because they're very fast bikes, most of the people really abuse that power and they ride these bikes really hard. So it's really hard to find one that's in clean condition if you want to buy a used, and if you want to buy a new, then you're gonna have to order and all that. So the point is, it's more of a unique bike, and it's not as easy to kind of like just get one, you know. And that's mainly why I didn't want to use that bike to kind of like commute or like go to my friend's or my girlfriend's house. It's just, to me, it's a waste of miles and a waste of that bike's potential, because I don't know, like, it's my dream bike and I just feel bad using it just to go to my friend's house. I take that bike on rallies, I take it when we go like racing, I take it for events, if we go on like nice group rides, that's when I ride that bike. But I definitely didn't want to daily it. And I had my Ninja ZX6R, and that I hope you guys have seen on the channel before. I've made quite a few videos with it, or a few in comparison to other YouTube channels. I don't have that many videos total, but I've made a few videos with it. And the main reason why I pretty much sold that bike, I sold it to a friend of mine. That's why you guys will probably see it more, which is really good, because that means I get to still see the bike and all the work that I've done to it, because I've invested about $6,000 in modifications into that bike, because in the time I thought, this is it, you know, I don't want to go that much faster. It's a bike that goes pretty fast. I've raced Lambos and these type of cars, and I don't want to say like I completely beat them, but I kept up, you know. I wasn't like dusted, and it was just a very fun bike, and that's why I kind of decided to put all these mods on it, and was planning on keeping it until it breaks down. But when I got the Ninja H2 and I started using the H2 and then moving back to my ZX6R when we go, like when I ride it kind of like to commute and not really to ride, that's when it kind of like started to bother me that like it's a lot of a step down from the H2. I kid you not, guys, it felt like a 300 when it comes to the power. So I just wanted something a little more aggressive and a little more torquey, which is exactly why I got this bike. This bike has 98 pound-feet of torque, and that's a lot of torque even for any 1000cc motorcycle in 2020. It's a very fast bike, and the thrill and the kind of like feel of this bike is very fun, and I would say like scary and thrilling, and that's why I like it, because it somewhat reminds me of the H2. It's definitely not as crazy as the H2, not even close. just like way more fun to ride than my ZX6R coming down from the H2. And now I don't only have the ZX6R, I always wanted that little upgrade. I was thinking about the ZX10, but I never felt like I needed to. And even then, to be honest, I didn't need to, but like I just wasn't enjoying the ride as much because I felt like it's a completely different motorcycle, which it is. I'm comparing a 636 engine that makes about 135 horsepower to my H2, which makes about 250, maybe a little over because it's not like completely tuned to what I have right now. It's a 1000cc bike that's supercharged, you know? It's a very big gap that I didn't want to have. And that's why I wanted to another 1000cc bike or a liter bike as kind of like my commuter or daily, which if so happened and I raced a car randomly while I was commuting, I could still take it on this bike, you know? It's still like way more thrilling and fun. But yeah, so like as I was saying, this is why I upgraded to this bike, even though it might not be the best daily bike as I've talked in the past video. But there's like so many other differences. Like even though this bike really resembles the H2 with how aggressive it is, other than that there's not much similarities. Like the H2, yes, it's a very hard bike to work on because most places don't have as much experience, the parts are expensive. Well, let me tell you, Ducati parts are even more expensive, even though it's like not as a kind of like unique or high-end bike as the H2. Yet exhaust and tunes, everything is more expensive on this bike, which is absolutely crazy, including maintenance too. It's just a more kind of like, because it's Italian, I guess, it's just the way they do things are different, and usually it's a little harder, which is why it costs more money. Another major difference is the weight and how the bike feels. H2 is a massive bike. You can see like the tank, everything. It's a huge bike. I'm not saying it's uncomfortable, it's actually really comfortable to sit on because of the seating position and all. This seating position is way more aggressive and this bike is more uncomfortable in fact, but it's also a little bit smoother because it doesn't have as much power. The H2 was not made, nor this bike was made to commute, but what I'm trying to say is that this bike's a little bit better at doing that because it's not as powerful, as crazy or as torquey, you know? So yeah, like the power is absolutely like different. As much as I love having more power, sometimes it is a little too much just to commute. I wouldn't mind it, but it just doesn't make sense to me if I'm not using that power. Like on this bike, I'm just like kind of like cruising right now because I'm talking to you guys, but most of the time I'm just like going fast, enjoying my ride. I'm not saying I'm pushing the bike to the limit, but still, like I get to gas this bike in 6th gear and it'll still go, not a problem, you know? So another difference, major difference that I felt is the fact that, so if you look at most liter bikes, they weigh about like 430 to 450 pounds. The H2 is about 500 pounds, and this bike is like 410, 420, something like that. So this bike is even lighter than most liter bikes, while H2 is heavier. So the feel of kind of like, let me check, no cars around, the feel of just kind of like throwing the bike around, switching lanes, even splitting lanes because of how much smaller this bike is, just feels way easier, and it is way easier on this bike. And that's another major difference. Technology wise, I believe my H2 is a 2015 model, this is a 2014 model. I think they're pretty similar. This might have a prettier dash and all of that, because you know it's all like an actual full-on display dash, and you know displays everything you need. The H2 is kind of like more old school style, but the H2 has 10 traction controls, this has 8 traction controls. What else was I saying? Yeah, the power modes, this has power modes, the H2, well, actually the H2 does not have power modes, which is very interesting. But I heard that if you put it on a very high traction control, it actually cuts down the power. But yeah, so like what I'm saying is technology-wise, they're pretty much similar. The H2 comes with Öhlins, steering dampener and all of that, and a quick shifter. This one also comes with a quick shifter and steering dampener, but it's not Öhlins because this is not the S, and that's why I don't have the electronic suspensions. But that's definitely a fire. Hope no one's hurt. Welcome to California with all these fires. But yeah, like technology-wise, they're somewhat similar. They're both like kind of top-of-the-line bikes, or like high-end bikes, and that's why they have like some of the best parts on them. And yeah, so there's the weight, there's the power, there's kind of like the fact that I don't want to put so many miles on the H2. What else? I'm trying to think of something else of like kind of like a major difference between the H2 and this bike. Presence-wise, honestly, like when it comes to people, it's somewhat... This is what you have to deal with when you're riding a motorcycle, people not seeing you. Usually when you have a louder exhaust, it's not that big of a deal, but still, you probably still have to deal with it. Yeah, I was talking about, oh yeah, like how kind of like the bike stands out. Both bikes really stand out in crowds because this is a red Ducati, and you know, it's a Ducati, and people are always kind of like obsessed with Ducati. Even people that don't know much about cars, or I mean bikes, they still know or have somewhat of a knowledge to a Ducati. And you know, it's an appealing bike. It's really easy on the eye. It's not too crazy like the H2. You know, I would say more people are into Ducatis than the H2. Some people, like I've definitely heard people say that the H2 is a little too much. It looks too much like a spaceship or futuristic, which I absolutely love. But I understand that, I understand that this might not be for everyone. Yet, I've never seen someone that kind of disliked how Ducatis look. Everyone loves how the Ducati looks for some reason. It's just, I can understand that because it's a very easygoing vehicle on the eye. It's not like too crazy. It's very subtle, but it's done so like beautifully. It's kind of like an art piece that's like very kind of simple, but at the same time you get to appreciate all the beauty and the details of the bike. Unlike the H2, where it's just like maximum intense and just like aggressiveness, you know. This is more of a kind of like prestigious bike. You're like on an Italian vehicle. It's like having, I want to say maybe an H2 is like a Kawasaki, which is like a Swedish brand. Well, not even that, because an H2 is kind of like, even a Kawasaki is very like fancy and pretty. Oh nice, we're pretty much going to the fire. But yeah, I was saying this is kind of like owning a Lambo or a Ferrari, because you know, it's so pretty and elegant. Actually, even though the Lambo is Italian, I can somewhat compare it to the H2 because of how aggressive it is, unlike this bike, which is way more kind of simple and pretty, kind of like a Ferrari, you know what I mean? And they're both fast, but they're just different styles. But yeah, so these are the main differences between this bike and the H2. Power is like kind of completely different. The H2 is it's a way more powerful bike than this. Also more torquey, even though this is one of the torqueest bikes, liter bikes that I've ever been on, and including numbers wise, this is one of the torqueest bikes. The weight, the comfort, there's a lot of differences between the H2 and the Ducati that are kind of like major, besides like all the little details and all of that. Maintenance price, surprisingly the H2 is actually cheaper to maintain, just because it's a Japanese bike and it's not as hard, even though it's still hard to work on, it's not as hard to work on as a Ducati. And parts are also not as expensive because most of the parts are Japanese and not Italian. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, kind of like differences between the H2 and this bike. I've put on about, oh wow, about 700 miles on this bike already in like 2 weeks. And these are the major things that I noticed. We'll give my hand a break from all the vibrations. Like, see, I don't even get that on the H2. Even though the H2 is a way faster and crazier bike, it's a way smoother bike too. This bike just kind of like, you can see from the mirror, they're just like shaking. It's just like rumbling. As also, you can hear from the exhaust. It's a very aggressive bike. But yeah, this was kind of like a question I had in the comments, and I wanted to address it in the video because it's more fun and it's a lot of things to talk. Oh, that's so sad, and I'm right next to it. Poor bunny. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, again, please like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do to kind of support the channel if you want me to make more of these videos, and if you want to check out my other videos in the Ninja H2 with a lot of things I've done with it and my ZX6R, make sure to check out the channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I always appreciate ideas and comments about what you guys want to see, and I'll always make videos about them. So just let me know what you guys want to see about these bikes. I have two like really nice bikes, and I like making videos about them. It's fun to me, and if you guys give me ideas, I'll do it. So like the video, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, be safe.